The chandeliers above the Beacon Hill Winter Charity Gala glitter like frozen stars, but the real ice is in the air tonight. Hundreds of Boston's wealthiest swirl in designer gowns and tuxedos, champagne flutes catching the light. Then it happens. Derek, the untouchable CEO, Ava's perfect match, freezes mid-sentence. His eyes lock on the small, elegant pin on my chest. Founding donor. The color drains from his face. Ava follows his gaze, and her smile cracks like thin glass. Because in that single heartbeat, the invisible sister they've ignored for years steps into the spotlight. And the $15 million secret I've carried alone is about to shatter everything they thought they knew. My name is Tanya, and tonight, they finally see me. The phone call came 5 days before Thanksgiving, slicing through the quiet of my small apartment like a cold blade. I was hunched over a stack of student essays, red pen in hand, the only sound the soft scratch of ink on paper and the distant hum of Boston traffic far below. "Tanya," my mother Diana began, her tone wrapped in that syrupy warmth she reserved for people she needed something from. But underneath it was steel. "Ava is bringing Derek to dinner. You understand, darling. It's important we make the right impression. Your little teaching job." She let the sentence hang, unfinished but perfectly clear. "It might not fit." My chest tightened. The pen slipped, leaving a jagged red streak across a 10th grader's paragraph on empathy. I had heard variations of this script my entire life. Ava's promotion, Ava's new apartment, Ava's designer bag that cost more than my rent. Always Ava. Always the golden child who could do no wrong. I swallowed the ache in my throat. "I understand," I whispered. The line went dead. I sat motionless for a long minute, staring at the phone. Then I looked around my modest living room. Bookshelves crammed with paperbacks, a second-hand couch, a single framed photo of Gran Clara smiling gently from the mantel. She was the only one who'd ever really looked at me, and she had left me something no one else knew about. For 2 years, I'd carried the weight of her $15 million irrevocable trust in silence. Trustee. The word still felt foreign on my tongue. Clara had pulled me aside months before she passed, her hand fragile but firm on mine. "Ava's had every door open for her," she'd said quietly. "She needs to learn what things truly cost. I'm trusting you to show her, sweetheart. Not with cruelty, with time." I'd promised her, and I'd hidden it from everyone, not out of greed, but because I wanted whatever love remained in my family to be real, not bought. But that night, after the call, something cracked inside me. I couldn't keep shrinking. Thanksgiving arrived under a heavy gray sky. Rain streaked the windows while I graded papers alone at my kitchen table. Around 6, my phone lit up with a photo from Ava. The whole family gathered around the dining table. Crystal glasses, turkey glistening, laughter frozen in time. My mother wore the sapphire earrings I'd saved for months to buy her birthday. Ava was draped in a cashmere shawl I'd never seen before. In the corner of the frame sat Gran's silver tea set, the one she'd promised me because I was the only one who ever helped her polish it on Sunday afternoons. My hand shook. I set the phone face down and called Lily, my colleague, my only real confidant at school. She picked up on the first ring. "They did it again," I said, voice breaking. "Tanya." Lily's tone was gentle but fierce. "You've got the power to change this. Clara didn't give you that trust so you could stay invisible forever." She was right. The hurt had been building for years. Every sidelong glance, every maybe next time, every milestone celebrated without me. If I let this continue, I'd disappear completely. Friday morning, I dialed Ms. Grant, Gran's attorney. Her office smelled of old books and quiet authority. She listened without interruption as I explained the call, the photo, the slow burn of resentment. "As trustee," she said calmly, sliding documents across the desk, "you hold full discretion. Distributions can be deferred. Conditions can be attached. The power has always been yours." As I stood to leave, she handed me a cream envelope, the Beacon Hill Winter Charity Gala invitation. I'd been a founding donor for 2 years, quietly, anonymously, using the $50,000 personal bequest Clara left me separately. I'd never told a soul, until now. That same afternoon, a sharp knock rattled my door. I opened it to find Diana, Ava, and Robert standing in the hallway like a tribunal. Ava's eyes blazed. "A teacher controlling $15 million? This is insane." Diana's smile was tight. "Surely we can sort this out as a family. Perhaps I should step in as trustee." I met their stares. "No." The word felt like breaking a long-held breath. "I'm doing exactly what Gran wanted." Ava laughed, sharp, disbelieving. "With what? Your chalk dust and good intentions?" Something snapped. I reached into my purse and pulled out the small gold pin I'd received that morning. Founding donor. "I'm attending the gala," I said quietly. "The same one you and Derek will be at." Their faces went blank. For the first time, silence wasn't my punishment. It was theirs. The silence in my hallway stretched thin and brittle, like ice about to crack under too much weight. Ava's mouth opened, then closed. Diana's perfectly manicured fingers twitched at her side. Robert just stared at the gold pin in my palm as though it might bite. "You've been donating?" Ava finally managed, voice high and thin. "To that gala?" "Founding donor," I corrected softly. "For 2 years." Derek wasn't even there yet, but I could already imagine his reaction. The same polished composure he wore on CNBC crumbling the moment he saw the badge. They left without another word. No apologies, no questions. Just the echo of their footsteps retreating down the corridor, carrying the faint scent of Diana's expensive perfume and the sharper sting of disbelief. I closed the door, leaned against it, and let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for years. The days between Thanksgiving and the gala blurred into a strange, suspended tension. I went to school, graded papers, smiled at my students, but every quiet moment was filled with the low hum of anticipation. What would they say when they saw me there? What would Derek do when he realized the little teacher they'd dismissed controlled the kind of money that could buy and sell his entire social circle? Lily kept checking in. "You okay?" she texted one night. "Terrified," I replied honestly. "But I'm not backing down." "Good." Clara would be cheering from the front row. The night of the gala arrived colder than expected. Snow dusted the sidewalks of Beacon Hill like powdered sugar, and the wind slipped under coat collars as I stepped out of the cab. My dress was simple, deep emerald silk I'd bought on sale last spring, nothing flashy. But the small gold pin on my left shoulder caught every passing light. Inside, the ballroom was a sea of black ties and glittering gowns. String quartet music floated above murmured conversations and the delicate clink of crystal. I accepted a flute of champagne I had no intention of drinking and drifted toward the edges of the crowd, heart hammering so hard I was sure the people nearest me could hear it. Then I saw them. Ava in scarlet, laughing too brightly at something Derek said. Diana holding court near the bar, gesturing with a diamond bracelet that flashed like a warning. Robert standing slightly behind, quiet as always. I stayed in the shadows for nearly an hour, watching, waiting. The longer I remained unseen, the more the knot in my stomach tightened. Was I really going to do this? Step into their spotlight and burn it all down? But then Derek turned. His gaze swept the room, casual at first, and landed on me, on the pin. Everything slowed. His smile froze. The champagne flute paused halfway to his lips. Recognition hit like a physical blow. I saw it travel across his face in stages. Confusion, disbelief, then cold calculation as the math clicked into place. He lowered the glass. "Tanya?" Ava followed his line of sight. Her laughter died mid-breath. The people around them began to notice the sudden stillness. Heads turned. Whispers rippled outward like water disturbed by a stone. I walked toward them. Each step felt louder than the music. When I stopped a few feet away, the air between us crackled. Derek's voice came out low, controlled, but the edge was unmistakable. "You're a founding donor?" I met his eyes. "Yes." Ava's face flushed crimson. "Since when?" "Since Gran left me the personal bequest and made me trustee of the rest." The word trustee landed like a dropped match in dry grass. Diana stepped forward, smile brittle. "Tanya, darling, this is hardly the place." "It's exactly the place," I cut in. My voice didn't shake. Not anymore. At that moment, Ms. Grant appeared at my side, calm, elegant, her silver hair gleaming under the chandeliers. She'd been watching from across the room. "Tanya has managed the Clara Whitaker Irrevocable Trust with exemplary discretion and responsibility," she announced, loud enough for the growing circle of onlookers to hear. "The funds are in exceptionally capable hands." A ripple of murmurs spread. Phones were discreetly lifted. Boston's elite loved nothing more than a sudden delicious shift in power. Ava's eyes glittered with fury and something close to fear. "You've been lying to us this whole time?" "No," I said quietly. "I've been protecting what Gran wanted, from people who would have burned through it without a second thought." Derek turned to Ava, his expression unreadable. "You never mentioned your sister was involved with the foundation at this level." Ava opened her mouth, closed it again. For once, she had no quick comeback. I looked at each of them. My mother's frozen smile, my father's downcast eyes, my sister's trembling hands. "I'm deferring Ava's distribution for 12 months, I said, the words steady. "And when the time comes, she'll need to complete a certified personal financial management course first." Ava's gasp was sharp. "You can't." "I can," I said. "And I am." The room seemed to hold its breath. Then, unexpectedly, Robert spoke. His voice was soft, almost lost in the music, but it carried. "She's right." Diana whipped toward him. "Robert." He lifted his gaze to me. "We've treated you terribly, Tanya. For years. I should have said something sooner. I'm proud of you." The words hit harder than any insult ever had. I blinked back the sudden heat in my eyes. Ava spun on her heel and stormed toward the exit, scarlet dress trailing like spilled wine. Derek hesitated, then followed without a word. Diana stood rooted, lips pressed into a thin line. I turned away from them. The gala continued around me, music, laughter, clinking glasses. But something inside me had finally, permanently shifted. The invisible daughter was gone. In her place stood someone new. Someone who was no longer afraid to be seen. The rest of the gala passed in a strange, dreamlike haze. Guests drifted past me like ghosts in designer silk, offering polite smiles and murmured congratulations that felt both genuine and predatory. Boston's high society had scented blood in the water, or rather, money, and they were circling, curious to see what the quiet teacher would do with $15 million and a spine finally straightened. I stayed only long enough to fulfill the social minimum. A few handshakes with board members, a brief conversation with the gala chair, who thanked me warmly for my long-standing generosity. Ms. Grant remained nearby like a quiet sentinel, her presence a steady anchor. When I finally slipped out into the snowy night, the cold air hit my face like a slap of reality. My breath fogged in front of me as I stood on the marble steps, clutching my coat tighter. The streetlights cast long, trembling shadows across Beacon Hill's brick sidewalks. I felt untethered. Not free, exactly. Not yet. But lighter. As though I'd been carrying an invisible weight for so long that its absence left me unsteady. The fallout arrived faster than I expected. By the next morning, my phone buzzed incessantly. Texts from numbers I hadn't heard from in years. Distant cousins, old family friends, even a former neighbor who'd moved to the suburbs. Most were thinly veiled fishing expeditions. Heard about the gala. How exciting. We should catch up sometime. I ignored them all. Lily called at 8:30, voice bright with barely contained glee. Did you see the Boston Society blog yet? I hadn't. I opened the link she sent. The headline read, Beacon Hill Bombshell. Teacher revealed as secret $15 million trust guardian. Family left reeling. The article was deliciously vicious in that polite upper crust way. It detailed the gala moment in almost cinematic slow motion, Derek's frozen expression, Ava's scarlet exit, my calm announcement of the deferral and conditions. It painted me as the understated hero who'd finally claimed what was hers, and my family as the entitled villains who'd underestimated the wrong sister. There were quotes from anonymous attendees, calling it the most dramatic reveal since the Huntington divorce scandal of 2009. Photos showed Ava storming out, face thunderous, Derek trailing behind with the look of a man recalculating every assumption he'd ever made. I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me felt a vicious satisfaction. Another part felt hollow. On December 2nd, I sat in Ms. Grant's office again. The deferral documents were spread across her desk like a map of a new territory. She watched me sign each page with careful, deliberate strokes. Your grandmother would have been immensely proud, she said when I finished. She always believed you had the strength for this. I nodded, throat tight. I hope so. That afternoon, an email arrived from my father. Subject: I'm sorry, Tanya. I've spent too many years staying quiet when I should have spoken. Your mother's ambitions, they became everything. But that's no excuse. We pushed you aside, made you feel small, and I let it happen. Seeing you at the gala, hearing you speak, it broke something open in me. You deserve better. From all of us. I'm going to try to do better. Starting now. If you'll let me. Love, Dad. I read it 3 times before the tears came. Quiet ones. The kind that had been waiting decades to fall. Later that evening, a text from Ava. I'm enrolling in the financial management course. It's going to take time, but I'm doing it. No apology. No pleading, just the barest acknowledgement. It wasn't everything, but it was a beginning. On December 21st, 4 days before Christmas, I hosted dinner in my apartment. Nothing grand, just a long table borrowed from the school, mismatched chairs, fairy lights strung across the bookshelves, and the smell of roasted chicken and garlic wafting from the tiny kitchen. Lily came, 2 colleagues from school, and, unexpectedly, my father. He arrived early, carrying a bottle of red wine and the silver tea set, the one from Gran. I took it from the house, he said quietly. It belongs here. We ate slowly, laughed, told stories about students and old family memories that didn't sting quite as much anymore. My phone buzzed once during dessert. Another text from Ava. The course starts in January. It's harder than I thought. But I'm trying. I typed back. I know. Take your time. The door's open when you're ready. I set the phone down and looked around the table. Faces lit by soft light. Voices overlapping in easy conversation. No one was missing me from some grander table tonight. Because this one was mine. A week later, an embossed envelope arrived in the mail. Invitation to join the Foundation's advisory council. They wanted my voice. not just my money. I accepted. Looking back now, those few weeks feel like a lifetime compressed into days. I learned that boundaries aren't cruel, they're survival. That love without respect is just another kind of cage. And that sometimes, the hardest person to stand up to is the family you still love, even when they've forgotten how to love you back. I'm no longer invisible. I never will be again. And if you've ever had to draw that same hard line with the people who should have had your back, you're not alone. You never were.